So thank you very much for all the speakers, and also thanks for the World Federation for providing us with this opportunity to share our views about the current state and the future of pediatric critical care medicine in Asia. All the talks were wonderful, and I think we have around 15 minutes or so to take some questions, and I can see some questions in the question box. So let me take a few questions. There are questions to probably Dr. Sidra and Dr. Kalab, and the couple of questions are essentially to do with the diversity of the intensive care services provided in Pakistan. And the question essentially says that Aga Khan is a resource intensive hospital and they're not short of resources, and that might not be true across the country. And how do you compare in terms of the intensive care services provided at your center versus other centers across Pakistan?
Okay, so would you like me to take that question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rakshi. Okay, so thank you for your question. I agree to that question to some extent, but hailing from Pakistan or from an LMIC, so I would say the vision may be different, but our inherent challenges still stay the same. If you're talking about under-resourced staff, or if you're talking about lacking an adequate training system across the board, so that is something that basically exists for pretty much everybody. Yes, I agree that maybe infrastructure-wise we may be better off from other centers here, but again the challenges more or less would actually stay the same. And I think as we just need to identify based on our needs, and then come up with a common thread that would kind of put us all together on this, and then build on to our priorities and take it from there.
All right.
Yeah,
So
so Raksha, I'll just add to what Sidra said is that pediatric critical care, as you said, that it has certain building blocks, and it includes something at the primary care, in some interventions at the secondary care, and then the tertiary care. So probably our university represent that thing at the tertiary or the quaternary layer. And this is how pediatric critical care is all over the world, across Asia, or even in the United States or in United Kingdom, that there are some centers who are kind of state of the art, where all those high tech research and all high technology is there. And then there are some community hospitals where you have the basic stuff. So I think this is how pediatric critical care is, that it's diverse in resources, in its nature. And this is how it's going to spread in Pakistan too, that there will be some tertiary or quaternary care hospitals, and then there will be community hospitals, and each of them have equal importance in providing care to their contextual resources, as well as to the people who they cater for.
thank you so much, Kalab. And I think there's one more question to you both, and that's question I think comes from Dr. Muhammad Amjad Chaudhry. He wants to know about starting a residency program in pediatric critical care medicine in Pakistan. He wanted your views as well.
Yeah, so thanks, Dr. Amjad. I think we can connect one to one too. I'd love to talk to you. We just had our fellowship in pediatric critical care accredited by our College of Physicians and Surgeons Pakistan last July. And we have 4 centers right now which are approved for training in pediatric critical care, 3 in Karachi, 1 in Lahore, and 1 in Islamabad will soon be getting accredited. For this, we are started having building supervisor for this fellowship program. And I think this is the time that PICU has really started spreading in Pakistan, from education, from research, as well as from capacity building. So I hope this helps.
There's also one more question, roughly around the same topic of training from Dr. Muhammad Imran. And he just wants to know if there are any international programs or scholarship for PICU training for people from underdeveloped countries. What I can answer is, at least from Indian perspective, we have a IAP fellowship program, and it does accept fellows across the world. And also, I know that there are few countries has tie up with some of the international universities and do so it can do. This question is open to all. I think you all can share your experience in terms of available opportunities for training for people from underdeveloped countries across the world. Might we can ask Dr. Alvin and then to probably others. Dr. Alvin, do you want to take up that question? Any thoughts about international opportunities for training?
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. I don't want to turn on my camera because I have limited bandwidth where I am now. So I hope you don't mind. First of all, let me get to the issue on the fellowship training opportunities. What we do, at least in one or two hospitals, we have fellowship training hospitals we have in the Philippines, is we have a memorandum of agreement with a hospital in the United States, the Johns Hopkins Medical Center specifically. And we have some sort of an exchange fellow program wherein we rotate our fellows there, and at the same time they also come over, including their residents, to go on some sort of rotation here in the Philippines also. So we share our data, we share our expertise, especially in our tropical area, our region. We have certain diseases that they don't see. I'm sure you know that. And they have certain diseases that we don't see. So in that way, we're sharing our resources, we're sharing our expertise and information, and that works well for us. Regarding the high income countries and the low income countries, the differences there, I'd like to say that we do have sort of the large private hospitals also in the Philippines, and obviously they're very well stocked. They have most of the equipment. We do ECMOs, etc. But most of the ICUs are still in the periphery, in the provinces, in the cities outside of Metro Manila, and we're having to do with already what we have in those instances. But our society has opened up pretty well, expanded all over the Philippines. So the technology sharing, the information sharing, the cases, our experiences are also being shared throughout the different islands that we have in the Philippines. I hope that answers the question, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alvin. Anyone else wants to share their views about availability of international opportunity for training?
Shall I take up that question as well, Dr. Abhishek? Hello.
Go ahead, Milind.
Yeah. So as far as international opportunities are concerned, I think as Dr. Rakshay rightly has mentioned, the Indian Academy of Pediatrics, the intensive care chapter, has fellowship programs, 1 year and 2 year programs, who do take international trainees for pediatric intensive care fellowships in India. And also there are a lot of fellowship opportunities in the UK and other countries. So if you want to learn something from the West and the UK, then you could apply for fellowship programs in the UK. There are a lot of opportunities there. You just need to know the right way to apply.
Thank you so much, Milind.
Yeah, can I just add one more thing to that?
Yes.
With regards to the international fellowship, we have a big fellowship training hospital here in Manila, and we did accept, I think, 1 or 2 students or fellows from Indonesia to train pediatric critical care at the University of Santo Tomas Hospital. So that's where they spent their fellowship, and they went back to Indonesia after that and started practicing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for so much comments. And there are some interesting comments. One comment comes from I think Dr. Naveedur Rahman Siddiqui. I think is proposing creating a local QI registry, especially for low medical income countries, considering that the challenges are similar, disease profile are similar. So that's a good thought. And I think he wants us to think about how that can be done. And also Dr. Shalu Gupta has a question, or rather a comment, saying that a lot of these children who come to ICU pediatric ICU, they tend to be very unstable. They're not stabilized at a community level. And he talks about stabilizing them at a peripheral level. And I think that's, most of us have spoken about it, about how important it is to also not just focusing on the intensive care services, but for a good outcome, a stabilization at community level, a safe transport system is also extremely essential before they enter into ICU. I mean, just developing an ICU without a process of recognizing and stabilizing without a proper transport is not going to work. So, I mean, that's also extremely important and forms one of the important aspects of improving outcomes of children. So, any comments on these two comments by our viewers?
Yeah, so I can add, Rakshay. So regarding this thought, I think this is excellent thought, and you propose the same solution of developing HDUs and care. So I think that this is what is called bringing PICU reflexes outside the ICU. This is where the real impact is, because once the kids are in the ICU, they are really in a bad shape. That doesn't mean that we don't need PICU, specified PICU as such, because there will be some children who, in spite of whatever you do at the community level or in the secondary level, they will require PICU for certain care. But that's important that you bring those mindset and those reflexes of PICU or pediatric critical care outside the boundaries of the ICU. And PICU doesn't mean that it's a boundary. It's beyond boundaries, and this is the culture and the mindset which we need to bring out. And I think this PICU World Awareness Week this is what it's doing, that bringing that thought process, that why this speciality is important and how it's impacting the lives of children. And regarding Dr. Naveed's comment, I think you also mentioned, Rakshay, in your presentation regarding the efficiency and quality improvement. And probably, I think what we are stuck in LMIC is mortality. And I think this is the right time that we move beyond mortality, look at our processes, look at our outcomes in a more at a more granular level, and do some collaborative quality improvement projects. And QI registries is one way to do that. And I think we can, there are two ways to go about that. One is that we just collaborate with people in HIC, but the problem, as Dr. Naveed pointed out, is the money, or it's the dollar, because everything comes at a cost. The other way is that we can collaborate among LMIC, bring our contextual solution to the contextual problem, because some of our problems are similar to what is in the HIC, and some of our problems are different than theirs, and we can bring in some out-of-the-box solution for our own learning and our own contextual problems.
Thank you. Wonderful thoughts, Kalab. So I think we're almost coming to the end of the session. If there are any comments to me from any of our panelists? If there are none, might be we would just conclude this webinar session. And I would personally thank all the participants, because many of you are in different time zones, for logging in and being live and also actively participating in very interesting questions. And I would also thank World Federation for providing all of us with this excellent opportunity. So with that, many thanks to all the panelists also deciding to come live and taking up these questions. With this, we'll end this webinar session. Thank you so much for the active participation.